Welcome everybody to the.
And no, hang on, sorry. It was okay. Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the Storytime Network's very own Paradox Hour. And I am joined today by it's basically just the our group. It's me and it's Mill.
Hello, I'm the perpetually exhausted Brit of the channel, and I'm
There's Jack,
exhausted.
Hi, I'm the resident American idiots of the channel.
and in the corner, you know what? Let's just gloss over it and hope it goes away. Anyway, we're talking MCU today, which is always a fun time, unless you're one of those people. You know who you are.
Oh,
You
I'm
know
not
exactly who
apologizing to
you
you.
are.
you mean the ones who think it's shit because it's not high entertainment?
Yeah,
Yes,
those
yes,
assholes.
those are the people we're talking about
Yeah,
specifically.
yeah, fuck them. Just enjoy what you enjoy if it's not hurting anybody. Like,
Yes, my sentiment exactly. And shall we just jump right in?
yeah.
Yeah,
So up
we're
first, Iron Man 1.
chronological order of the movies. Oh, not chronological, release order. That's it.
Are we going release order instead of chronological? Well, yeah, if we go chronological, then it's going to be a bit of a
It's gonna be
mess.
wonky as hell if we go chronological.
I'm just going in the order that I watched them in, which I believe was release order. So Iron Man 1 first.
So,
So, yeah, Iron Man 1 is.
pretty good movie, and
Okay,
it holds up
military
surprisingly.
summary guy.
Oh God, are
Summarizes.
you gonna make me do? Are you gonna keep making me do summary? Tell me if you want me to do summaries, please. I'm begging
Yeah,
you.
but it's funnier if you do it off the cuff.
Uh,
Because if you're less prepared, then you flounder, and that's hilarious.
oh God.
Wow, Dominic.
Uh,
Wow.
okay. Tony Stark
Look, I.
inherits a weapons manufacturing empire. Uh, Gets kidnapped by a bunch of probably racist stereotypes. Uh,
Oh, very much so, yes.
Escapes by building a suit of armor in a cave with a box of scraps. Uh, Returns home, builds a far better one because hey, building a suit in a cave with a box of scraps is actually not conducive to good construction. Uh, Unfortunately, his mentor slash I don't even know what he is. Guy played by
Just
Jeff Bridges, who was probably one of the best parts of the movie, was actually behind
oh,
the
I thought you.
kidnapping, and
Okay, you should at least talk about ambiguously brown man who is vital to the plot, and literally Tony Stark would have died in that cave with that box of scraps if he hadn't been there, which
Yeah.
no one ever
Yinsen.
remembers him because
I
racism.
was, I said I was gonna get to. Can get to Yinsen when we talk about it in detail because Yinsen is actually Yinsen is a very good part of the movie, and it is a shame that he dies in the first act. Anyway, Jeff Bridges builds his own suit, tries to kill Tony, fails, and because of icing issues, and then Tony
Let's
decides to reveal that he's Iron Man, defying all superhero rules.
let's
Also,
also not forget the other convention defying, oh, not convention defying, but the other little detail of his heart's kind of fricked up.
yeah,
Oh yeah, no. So in a great case of irony, his heart got screwed up by one of the weapons that his company manufactured when he was kidnapped.
mm-hmm.
And as a result, Ensign is forced to jury rig a magnet with a car battery and stick it in his chest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I don't know how he didn't die of blood poisoning in the first week.
Eh.
Because you really should have.
I mean, you also realize that he was taking a massive risk using the electromagnet that was keeping him alive to also power his suit.
Well, it wasn't that he was using the electromagnet, it's that the suit and the electromagnet had the same battery.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it seems like the same thing. If that battery runs out, he's dead.
Oh, yes, very much so. Extremely dead, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But yeah,
Do we want to?
Yinsen is really a really good character in the movie, and
Mhm.
while it is a shame that he dies so early on, his portrayal and role in the story is really well done, I think.
Overall positive, yeah. Doesn't suffer from any sort of stereotyping.
No.
Well,
Not really.
no visible stereotyping, at least.
Yeah.
Not that I can.
Who plays him?
Sean Taub? I don't think it's Taub. Tube.
I
Toub.
Tube. Yeah, I think he may be a stage actor, possibly?
No.
I might be confusing him with someone else, then.
No, he's definitely been in films and TV and no
Okay.
theater productions.
Okay, I'm confusing him with someone else, then. So, yeah, that's the SparkNotes version. Also, we meet our...
Oh yeah, Samuel L. Jackson appears in the post-credit scene, but it's nothing big. Definitely
Yeah,
doesn't
don't
have
worry
any
about
definitely doesn't have any bearing on any future storylines.
No, sirree. It's just a fun little Easter egg for comic book fans.
I love Samuel L. Jackson. That's going to come across in these podcasts a lot.
He is probably the single best part of this franchise.
Mm-hmm. And it's I just want to talk about how like he got cast because
yes.
it's utterly
Oh, yeah.
hilarious.
I'm gonna be telling this story because I'm the resident comic book person.
Go ahead.
So the thing is, Nick Fury in the mainline Marvel comic series, white guy who has in the past been played by David Hasselhoff. Yes, that is not. You are not hearing me wrong. This is not a joke. There is, in case if you are unaware, a standalone Nick Fury movie from the late 90s, early 2000s, starring David Hasselhoff as Nick Fury.
That's insane.
That's a thing that exists. I have no idea why. It was a flop, obviously, but like...
I mean, it's fucking comic books. 90% of the stuff in it makes you go, why the fuck was this made?
Yeah.
Until the MCU came around.
Yeah.
More or less. Because, like, isn't it wild? Like, just on a meta note, the MCU has literally changed the entire public perception of comic book movies.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Like, they are now considered maybe even more viable than they actually are, considering DC.
Oh, DC. We'll have to talk about the failure that is the DC extended universe at some point, but it's not going to be today.
Yeah, we'll do a post-mortem at some point.
So yeah. Super pasty white guy. It was still admittedly very buff. Nick Fury. So Marvel had a rebooted version, which was in the 2000s. They created a line called Marvel Ultimate, not Infinite. That's
Ultimate.
Yeah, Marvel Ultimate, which is basically they were like, it's the 2000s. Maybe we should be edgy. And so they did, and it had a number of storylines, including Green Goblin just killing Spider-Man, and the Hulk becoming a cannibalistic sociopath. Well, a cannibal as the Hulk and a sociopath as Bruce Banner. You know, fun stuff like that. But there was one saving grace. Nick Fury became black, and there is an in-universe Avengers meeting in which the Avengers are talking about who they'd want to play them in if there was a movie made about them, and Nick Fury, who is explicitly, according to the creators, meant to be modeled after Samuel L. Jackson, just outright says, yeah, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
And that's how this casting decision got made. And
well, no. There's also the fact that they the writer who designed that version of Nick Fury did it specifically after Samuel L. Jackson, not thinking that Jackson would ever find out, but because Jackson is actually a giant fucking nerd, he found out immediately.
He's a nerd and a weeb, and I love him.
No, everybody fucking loves him, but he called up Marvel and went, "What the fuck is this?" And Marvel like, we're planning this thing, this whole universe with Marvel Comics, and would really like you to be Nick Fury. We think you'd be really good for the role. I'm gonna be in every movie, Oh, okay, good. That's great.
To be fair, he probably would have done it anyway.
Oh no, he absolutely would have done it anyway. The point was that he had Marvel over the fucking barrel, so he could get away with sticking himself in every movie possible for as much money as possible.
Yeah, he had them by the balls.
He would have done it. Like, I get the feeling he would have done it for free, but
I'm not sure necessarily for free, but he certainly would have done it for far less money than he actually did. But it's just fucking hilarious that Marvel suddenly had to go, yes, we definitely planned this. We definitely planned you being in these movies. Yeah, definitely we didn't do this by accident. Oh, God. Anyway.
But yeah, he doesn't come in until later. We also meet one of the most fascinating meta-narrative case studies in kind of modern live-action media. Phil Coulson.
Oh, Coulson. Son of Cool.
He's So I think everyone loves Phil Coulson because he was literally designed to be loved by everyone.
Yeah, no,
also,
I
Clark
do love
Gregg
him.
really sells it.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have to talk about what happens to him in Phase 2.
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
No.
Oh,
I'm
you mean the
not talking
TV?
about-
You mean the TV
yes,
shows?
I'm talking about Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Honestly, I don't think we're probably going to talk about those. I think we're gonna the actual TV shows. I think we're going to talk about them. We're going to talk about the TV shows on their own because they're bit long enough that we can.
We do have to mention them in passing.
Yeah.
But like, I have, as someone who's watched the entire 7-season run, I have words.
But we will get to that.
Marvel Agents. Yes.
We'll get to that
later.
We have another element.
Far.
Oh, well, no. We'll get to that in Iron Man 2, actually. We'll get to that elephant in Iron Man 2. So, I mean, I very only recently watched the entire MCU. I think I started in something like October and finished a few weeks ago. Did you guys start it, with Iron Man in 2008?
Came out.
Yes.
Yeah, I watched Iron Man in theaters.
Absolutely. I couldn't watch it in theaters, but I got the DVD as soon as it came out.
I think the only MCU movie that I did not watch in theaters was Iron Man 2.
I kind of missed the entirety of Phase 1, from a theater-going perspective, but and most of Phase 2, actually, but all of Phase 3 I've watched in theaters.
I mean, it's actually interesting. Iron Man 1 is actually one of the few MCU films I did watch before my binge, though. Honestly, Iron Man and just Tony Stark's character in general is not one of my favorites. He is kind of an asshole.
I mean, that's half the point of his character.
No, it is the point of his character, but I'm just saying he's an asshole, and it makes me not want to watch films when he's the protagonist.
that is kind of the point of his entire story arc. Is like he's actually probably because he starts out because remember one of the core tenets of character development is the character has to start out bad to most easily do character development, and Tony Stark definitely
I know.
really emphasizes that because like he has a really good solid arc.
He does. He does. It's just that it's especially this movie. It is hard to watch.
No, I can imagine. Also,
Very hard to
can we
like,
talk
yes.
about the fact that there's just like, was it really necessary to include the weird like PG banging?
No.
Really? Could we not have just skipped over that? Yes, we get it. He's like a womanizer.
Yeah.
Okay. Just show the morning after scene. You didn't have to like go into it. It's just gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I chalk that up to early installment weirdness, honestly.
I mean, this is you know.
I mean, quite frankly,
This was an experiment on Marvel's part. This is
very much so.
This was they did not know this was going to get as big as it was.
Was this before the advent of the mouse?
Yes.
Yes, it was.
Disney bought Marvel around the time of the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
I don't remember this.
You know what? That explains a lot.
Hmm.
That explains a lot. I wasn't aware of the exact timeline of the mousening.
Let me just. Walt Disney Company purchased Marvel Entertainment for $4 billion on December 31st, 2009.
Wow, that's probably the best, one of the better deals Disney has made.
Oh,
That is
absolutely.
the best investment in decades.
Absolutely. That is probably what most
franchise.
Yeah, that is probably what most allowed the mouse to take over the world.
Oh God. Huh.
That would not surprise me.
That's an interesting thought experiment, huh?
Yeah.
Did you give up the Marvel movies to have less mousenings?
No.
You
I
might.
actually-
Probably.
You might.
I could go my life without watching them. I mean, I enjoyed them, sure, but they're not like crucial to my existence.
I'm kind of in a similar
Think of it
headspace.
this way, though. Without the Marvel movies, geek media would not be anywhere near as popular as it is now.
That's fair, but it would probably also be a lot less. I don't know. It's a very difficult.
We can talk about the
wider implications.
The wider
later.
implications in
Oh,
some
yeah.
other stream where we talk about the negatives of Disney ruling the world. I mean,
There's a lot of them.
as I said during my during the summary, this is probably one of the better MCU villains. MCU villains are very much hit and miss, but it came out swinging.
I will say that most of Phase 1's villains are not great villains.
I
honestly.
do have to say, sometimes MCU villains are tragic on a meta level because they tend to be one-offs.
Yeah.
And as a result, when you manage to get like a really, really, really solid actor who's really good at everything they do as your MCU villain, it's just kind of a bummer because they're never going to show up in the MCU again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest gripe to this day is wasting Mads Mikkelsen as the Doctor Strange villain.
That is fair.
Ooh,
That is fair.
I just like... And even Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges was so good in this film.
It makes a bit more sense because, it was the first one. They had no guarantee that they'd ever make another one. So, you can afford to waste Jeff Bridges. But, like, can you imagine a world where Jeff Bridges played, like, a recurring character instead of a
that would be fun.
Yeah.
Villain? Or Mads Mikkelsen. I would love literally... Why could we not have Doctor Strange played by Mads Mikkelsen?
I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch does a great job. Also, I do... Guys?
Yes?
Yes. We were waiting.
I
for
do
you.
feel the need to say this because it hasn't come up yet, but Iron Man basically resurrected Robert Downey Jr.'s career.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
very much so.
He had basically no career in the years before Iron Man, and
Well, no, he had
and getting past it basically turned his life around.
No, so here's the thing. He had a phenomenal career, and then Hollywood happened with the drugs and the alcohol, and he kind of went into a spiral. And then
That's why I said in just the years immediately before Iron Man.
I thought you said in the years before Iron Man in general. Not that I didn't hear the immediately.
Yeah, in the years immediately before Iron Man.
And there's
I
also
think he had like a couple minor
non-zero
played roles in a couple minor films before Iron Man.
Yeah.
But Iron Man is basically where his career had a resurgence because
also,
it had been dead in the water for a while.
He may or may not be secretly
because of all the drugs and stuff.
He may or may not be secretly an Hollywood insider whistleblower sort of thing.
Fuzzy, you were roboting really hard.
Really?
I didn't hear it, to be fair, so it might just be
it might just be Jack then. Yeah, so he may or may not be like an anonymous whistleblower who publishes a bunch of articles on the horrible crimes committed in the industry, but that's, a matter of speculation.
But yeah, I mean, as much as I, find it hard to watch, Tony Stark or Iron Man or whatever, Robert Downey Jr. does such a fucking good job playing him.
Yeah, I feel like you'd have a lot less problem watching him if Robert Downey Jr. wasn't as good an actor as he is.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
He really sells the dickbaggery.
He really does. He's just... He approaches that level of dickhead snark that previously had only been reached by Hugh Laurier's house.
Have we had Hugh Laurie in here yet?
No.
No,
I was gonna say if Hugh Laurie had been 20
Doctor
years
Strange?
younger, he would have been Doctor Strange. Like, no doubt about it.
I feel like there's a lot of characters Hugh Laurie could play.
Oh, absolutely. Hugh Laurie is a fantastic actor.
I love it.
The fact is that he played a character with an American accent for a decade, and people are still surprised that he's English.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was English until, after someone told me he was English, and I was like, wait, what?
He's got, such a classic British accent as well, and it just seems so weird when you hear them side to side.
I want you to picture a tragedy, right? Can you imagine if the only movie someone has seen Hugh Laurie in is Stuart Little?
Oh, man.
Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine, the tragedy of that situation?
If you are that person, for God's sake, watch House, watch Blackadder, please.
I've watched far too much House in my childhood.
I binged it this year, but we are getting off topic.
Okay, yes.
But anyways, career resurgence for Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man. Other fun fact about Iron Man is that a large chunk of the script was completely improvised.
Which, I mean, in hindsight, kind of makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's amazing how well the movie came together in spite of that.
Yeah.
And perhaps because of it, actually.
And that's probably set the tone for a lot of MCU stuff in the future.
Yeah.
Right? I have to imagine that if it hadn't been so improv, the levels of snark that MCU is known for really just wouldn't be there.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, that's the thing.
Really, this was Jon Favreau's first MCU directing joint, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. He only directed this.
Yeah, no, he
Iron
killed
Man
it. That explains a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And just speaking about Jon Favreau, I do like Happy.
Happy's great.
He's a fun character, yeah.
Happy is a very fun character. I also want to point out Paul Bettany as Jarvis, who just got the job randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm not aware of the story behind that. So what's the story behind that then?
Basically, he was just like very randomly asked to do it by somebody. I can't remember exactly who it was. I'll try and find the story. Yeah,
And fast
Bettany
forward.
admits he had little idea of what the role was, even as he recorded it, simply doing it as a favor for Jon Favreau.
No.
Huh.
And now fast forward, and he's married to Elizabeth Olsen.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Well, not IRL, but
yeah, I mean, you know, having Paul Bettany in it is a big plus for me because I adore that man. I recently watched A Knight's Tale, and he is just so fucking good in it.
He is one of the best parts of A Knight's Tale.
I mean, he's a really good part of the MCU.
He is
overall.
Yeah,
we should also talk about the rest of the supporting cast in this movie because.
Okay, now I was gonna say, we also need to talk about the Marvel's roller coaster ride with the Goop Lady.
Oh God.
So like, Gwyneth Paltrow's character,
mm-hmm.
Pepper Potts, is Tony Stark's love interest, and is a very necessary part of the MCU.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm really glad she's not going to be in it anymore. Not because she's bad at the role. Quite the opposite. I think she's a very good actress. It's everything about her out. Yeah, like all the pseudoscience peddling. It's just I can't.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it's getting to the point where Endgame was a worse movie for me because she was in it.
Mm.
Alicia was only in like 3 scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she was in kind of a pivotal scene.
She was, but we will get to that in 3 podcast time. Because we're gonna have to split up phase 3. Are we gonna get to the elephant in the room now, which is Terrence Howard?
Yeah. Oh no! Before we do, we also need to talk about the other elephant in the room, which is the big producer guy behind the Marvel movies for the first 2 phases, who kind of is responsible for a lot of the.
Was it Weinstein?
No. A guy named Ike Perlmutter.
Oh, I know who that is.
He is a colossal cheapskate dickbag who is also very bigoted.
He's also responsible for a lot of the worst parts of the Marvel series, including the death of Netflix shows.
Mm.
Yeah. No,
he's single-handedly responsible for that because he decided he wanted to do his own thing and he didn't want to be under Disney, and as a result, he took the Netflix shows further and further from the MCU, and because of that, a lot of really good actors and really, really good shows and storylines have been retroactively axed from the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
which sucks.
What's also bad is that the reason we had to wait until Phase 3 to get a female-led Marvel movie and a black-led Marvel movie is because Ike Perlmutter refused to let them happen because he didn't think they'd be profitable enough. And also because of bigotry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's the real reason, is that he's racist.
Yeah.
And Black Panther and Captain Marvel both topped $1 billion, so eat shit, Ike.
On a more positive staffing note, the music was apparently done by Ramin Djawadi, who is the guy who did the Game of Thrones music.
Ramin Djawadi is such a fantastic composer.
Mm.
Like, he also did Pacific Rim.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we will get back to the original elephant in the room.
There's kind of two acting little snafus that occur. So Gwyneth Paltrow is not till later, but she really didn't want to do the Marvel movies, even though they were incredibly successful and popular, which further demonstrates that she's just terrible. And Terrence Howard.
Yeah. Terrence Howard is apparently just kind of a dick. He's also just, like, really weird.
He was apparently extremely difficult to work with and extremely expensive, which is why they wouldn't let him return for
What's
the
funny
sequel.
is that
he
What's-
actually.
Okay, go on, Jack. Hello, Jack?
He might have gone. He was having internet issues. Anyway,
So, yeah, what's funny is that if Terrence Howard had been less insistent on receiving all of the money, it's very likely that he probably would have made more in the intervening films than he has
yeah.
on his own in the last decade or two.
Well, I'm fairly sure he's like retired from acting now. Yeah. Actually, no. He's back acting as of February 1st. But
Oh, wow.
he's the guy
What were
who.
you saying, Jack? You cut out?
Yeah.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi and Discord are being really shitty.
Okay.
Forget what I was saying.
Anyway,
Oh yeah.
just
He used to take a pay cut for Iron Man 2, and they didn't want to bring him back partially because he was so expensive for Iron Man 1 to begin with.
yeah. But yeah, he's the dude who posted proof of his claim that 1 × 1 = 2 on his Twitter account, which was heavily criticized as containing multiple logical errors and faulty reasoning. So, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He called it his own language of logic teriology.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
This is like, how close friends is he with the Smith family?
I don't know.
It's like that's like peak Jaden Smith.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, to be fair, like his portrayal of Rhodey was pretty good.
I do find it hilarious that he
Cheadle
says
is better.
next time when he looks at the suit of armor
Cheadle.
because he got recast.
That is hilarious just for the casting gag alone. But yes,
The meta joke, right? So
yeah, Cheadle was very good, which I think we've probably said all we can or have
as
said
of
about
now, yes.
Iron Man 1. So we will move on.
Unfortunately, Cheadle gets his start in the one of, if not the worst MCU movies.
Iron Man 2.
One of the worst, not the worst, because that distinction goes to a Phase 2 movie, in my opinion.
Iron Man 2 is
You know
Phase
which
2.
one. What?
Wait, is Iron Man 2 not Phase 2?
Iron Man 2
Iron Man
is
2
now.
Phase 1.
Iron Man 2 is the next film in the MCU.
Ah! Oh, that's just unpleasant
Yeah.
to think about.
Yeah.
It's kind of
technically-
hard to fucking because it's two movies of Tony Stark in a row.
I mean, there is the Incredible Hulk that happened between them, but it's so irrelevant to the larger MCU picture that's so the only relevant introduction is the fact that Hulk exists in the MCU and Thunderbolt Ross exists in the MCU, and that is basically it.
I mean,
That is all you need to know.
I refuse to consider a movie with Hulk in it that's not played by Mark Ruffalo an actual movie. So.
Oh yeah, we
that's
do
just
need
my
to mention that Hulk had to get recast because Ed Norton, like Terrence Howard, was extremely difficult to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's the same. It's basically the exact same story as Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
Which again, how much has he made like in the interim? Because I feel like it's less than what he would have if he'd stuck with the MCU.
I mean,
Just
just think about how many movies Hulk has been in. So, Avengers 1,
Basically
Avengers
all of
2,
the-
Avengers 3, Avengers 4. 4 of the highest grossing
Ragnarok.
movies of all time. Thor Ragnarok.
So unfortunately, it's probably because of Ed Norton that we can't have nice things, i.e., a standalone Mark Ruffalo led.
No, that's actually not the reason. The
Is that
reason
not the
was because of Universal owning the distribution rights to all solo Hulk.
It's one. Hulk is one of those. I knew Spider-Man was one of those, but I wasn't aware Hulk was also one of those.
Honestly, it's probably a good thing. I'm not sure how well a Hulk movie would work. They already have to work around him being incredibly OP.
Yeah.
Well, no. They could have done Planet Hulk, which is like.
Well, they did kind of integrate that.
And usually the thing about Hulk movies is that the thing about Hulk movies is they're basically always problems that Hulk cannot smash. like solved by smashing.
Well, now that we can't have any Hulk movie because now it's Hulk solve rather than Hulk smash.
No, Professor Hulk was actually like it's a fairly prevalent comic book element as well.
We're getting ahead of ourselves. Iron Man 2. So good things about it. Both I enjoyed the performances of both villains, both Vanko and Justin Hammer.
Just wish the writing was better.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah.
It's dumb, but
You want to summarize it real quick, just to put you on the spot as much as possible?
Wow, fuzzy.
Look, I'm the resident hate sink who has all the unpopular opinions. I'm allowed to torture you guys a little bit, just off of that alone.
Ivan Vanko, weird Russian dude played by Mickey Rourke, who I did not realize he was played by Mickey Rourke until I saw that name in the credits. Creates his own arc reactor similar to Tony's. Creates these whips that he uses to beat the shit out of Tony with. Meanwhile, Tony is dying because, hey, as it turns out, not a good thing to have a bunch of chemicals near your heart, regardless of how well, regardless of if they're keeping you alive.
Turns out that in the process of keeping him alive, they were also killing him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly what I. The only unrealistic thing about this is that if it's happening now, it really should have happened when it was a rusty piece of iron instead.
Yeah. Anyway.
It's still funny as hell this way.
Yeah. Anyway, Tony's rival in the weapons industry, Justin Hammer, decides to employ Vanko and his bird to create other suits, other Iron Man suits, basically. Meanwhile, as it turns out, Stark's new employee, Natalie Rushman, is, gosh, as it turns out, Scarlett Johansson is not just playing a random person, she's playing Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff.
This is one of the unfortunate parts of this sort of phase 1 in particular, is that, well, other than the racist bigot and racist sexist bigot in charge of production at the time, is that Black Widow was introduced through here. She couldn't get her own introduction movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In fairness, neither
Which
did
is
Hawkeye, but we'll get to that.
Yeah,
but like
Hawkeye
doesn't matter. This is the thing. It's
I like Jeremy Renner Archer.
No, it's fine.
like-
It's just he's not as relevant.
Anyway, so Tony is going off the deep end because, he's fucking dying, and Don Cheadle beats the shit out of him.
And they attempt to beam struggle as well, which is
Yeah.
fun. So basically, the impetus here is that at the end of Iron Man 1, well, not at the end actually. No, at the end he reveals that he's Iron Man, and at the beginning he decides Stark Industries is no longer a weapons industry that kills millions of people. But
He goes with energy production instead.
Mm-hmm.
But considering the fact that he's literally invented limitless clean energy, he probably monopolized that and made all the money.
Mm-hmm.
But as a result, because the government knows who he is, this is one of the, it does it really early on, even if it's ham-fisted and heavy-handed, but it does the thing where it goes into the implications of having a
Non-government power.
Yeah, no, non-masked, non-anonymous superhero is that the government is all up in his business.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, so what if you gave the military all of the Iron Man suits? Literally all of them. And he's like, how about
No.
don't provide
How about
weapons
you
of
go
mass
eat a
destruction?
dick?
And the government is like, well, we'll see you in court then. And they
The government is like, and I took that personally.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, they hire the very obviously evil CEO, which, you know, is one of the more realistic, down-to-earth parts of these movies, is the government reliance on evil CEOs.
Just the evil CEOs in general, really.
Yeah, no, the fact, like, really, one of the most fantastical parts of this franchise is the fact that Tony Stark is somehow a CEO and also a decent human being. At least he tries to be.
I mean, he doesn't start off as a human being.
He doesn't start off that way, but, like, you know, the near-death experiences and PTSD kind of help. And, man, we should give more CEOs near-death experiences and PTSD. Maybe the world would be a better place.
Maybe.
Can we get on that?
Hypothetical.
Yes, it's entirely a hypothetical. Completely. I have no plans brewing whatsoever. Anyway, they take him to court, and when that fails, they decide to hire Dick.
Justin Hammer is a colossal jackass.
An entertaining one, though.
Oh yeah, no, he's entertaining as hell, but he is a colossal jackass.
Yeah. Who then decides to hire our Russian friend and his bird. I fucking love the bird.
Bird is fun. The bird's a great gag.
Is Bard.
So, as this is all happening, Vanko is creating more suits. Tony is slowly dying, but then Nick Fury makes it so that he's not dying.
Well, Nick Fury gives him the ability to make himself not die. It's not like... Nick Fury is not chummy enough to, like, actually save his life. He just, like, gives him the tools to save his own life. Which, you know, is kind of very much in character with Nick Fury. He's not big on freebies. Unless your name is Phil Coulson, in which case you are his actual human son.
Coulson is great.
So Tony creates a new element to keep himself alive, basically.
Which, you know, probably never going to be relevant again.
Oh, definitely not.
Definitely not going to be relevant in, like, Phase 3 or anything.
Then, as it turns out, Vanko is, you know, evil, and...
Surprise! What a twist!
And takes control of all the suits he built, and attacks Tony. Oh, and also Rhodey's armor, because why the fuck not?
Oh yeah, no, Don Cheadle gets to fulfill Terrence Howard's promise of next time. And
too bad he the worst possible person to fulfill that promise with.
And of course, because the government is, you know, unless you're Nick Fury, the government is evil. Let's say in fictional contexts, to avoid any pesky legal implications. And wouldn't you know, they decide, hey, we have our own Iron Man suits now, so let's assassinate Tony Stark. And so they send his best friend, which apparently, obviously, is going to work out and not cause any sort of conflict of interest at all.
Clearly.
And then they have a beam struggle and it explodes. Which really is just like, I'm sure you can go into the homoerotic subtext of both the fights involving Don Cheadle and Tony Stark.
I mean, there's so much homoerotic subtext in these movies overall that I'm kind of surprised you didn't bring it up earlier.
Homoerotic subtext with the literal AI voice. To be fair, it is Paul Bettany, and it's kind of hard not to be attracted to Paul Bettany in some capacity.
You're not wrong.
I mean, I was gonna say even when he's just a voice, but I think especially when he's just a voice.
He's got a damn good voice.
His voice is just... I just want him to talk to me.
His voice is fucking silk.
I don't care what he does. I just want him to talk to me about literally anything.
Anyway, saving the thirst for the next movie.
I mean, there's gonna be plenty of thirst to go around.
Yeah.
This is a very thirst-inducing series of movies, and in the case of the male characters, for the most part, it's thirst-quenching as well. Because, like, you know,
there is legitimately a shirtless scene in almost every MCU
yeah,
movie.
because double standards exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, like there is also fan service involving female characters, but like
they are usually fully clothed. Yes.
Yes.
Not so for the men.
I don't mind the man service. It's pretty fun. I say this as a straight guy, ostensibly.
Jack, I've been wondering about that, honestly. Don't take this the wrong way.
There are questions about myself that even I don't know the full answer to.
Yes, no, I feel like there's a journey of self-discovery to be had here.
Jack's sexuality aside, obviously the first scene where we get to see what Black Widow can do, in which she fucking destroys Happy, was a lot of fun.
Though not in the way he was hoping.
Yeah.
When she started taking her clothes off in the car.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that fucking scene where she like destroys half a dozen guys. Happy just about manages to beat one by fighting entirely dirty.
Yeah,
I mean, Happy is very much just Jon Favreau.
Yeah. Poor guy.
Poor bastard. I love him though. He's so wonderful.
He is literally just a human dude dropped into the superhero universe. That's literally his character.
Human dude has to be a bodyguard for a man who with a suit.
A literal suit of super armor.
Yeah.
Which, you know, couldn't possibly cause any sort of problems when the superpowered people come for Tony Stark.
He's fine.
Anyways,
as said,
yeah.
the best parts of these movies is just the performances for Hammer and Vanko, really.
This movie, anyways, yeah.
Everything else is just sort of meh.
Yeah, everything. Well, the action scene that Black Widow's first action scene is also pretty fun.
Yeah.
There's also a neat little element of kind of the first introduction of Tony trying to balance superhero life with like he is very much Spider-Man's mentor, both in the comics to some extent and in
especially in the MCU movies.
In the MCU, for a good reason, because in the MCU, he's our first look at a superhero trying to balance superheroing with, you know, being a dude.
And speaking of Spider-Man, this was his first appearance in the MCU.
It was retcon, but yes.
Like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the kid with the Iron Man mask that Tony saved at the expo.
Oh, so they retconned that.
Yeah, they retconned that as saying it was a young Peter Parker, which, to be fair, I do kind of love.
It is good. There's a lot of reasons that Peter Parker would look up to Tony Stark, but that definitely
helps. Yeah,
that helps.
It's a really good bit.
Yeah.
To keep in or to have as part of the thing, as words.
Yeah, and I just, Nick Fury gets a slightly bigger role. We've got to talk about the very end of the movie. So first, at a debriefing, Fury runs down a list of why Stark would not be a good fit for the Avengers Initiative. Sorry. It's just a list of his character traits. Let's see if I can find it. Mr. Stark displays compulsive behavior. In my own defense, that was a week ago. Prone to self-destructive tendencies. I was dying. I mean, please. And hey, aren't we all? Textbook narcissism? Agreed.
Yeah, no, the quips in these movies are really, really good for the most part. Yeah, I think we're kind of stretching this one, so we could probably
there's
move
not a
on
lot to talk
Thor.
about with Iron Man.
Well,
2.
the last thing I want to talk about, well, the last couple of things. The first one is they receive medals for their heroism, and it's the government employee that Stark was arguing with at the start of the film.
There's always a fun moment.
And stabs him with the pin for the medal. Goes, fascinating how annoying a little prick can be, eh? And finally, to
Also, it turns out that guy is evil, by the way.
oh yeah, of course. And to
Who is that? Oh, right, that guy. Okay. Yeah, never mind. I thought he was going to be relevant later on because, like, you always have to kind of assume that anyone could potentially be relevant later on with these movies.
I mean, that's the One Piece brain talking, honestly.
Anyway, and to segue us into our next film, Son of Cool is sent to New Mexico, where he finds a strange hammer sticking out of the ground, which of course.
Stop. Hammer time.
For some reason, he cannot pick up, even though he should be able to. Let's be real. If anyone can pick up the hammer, it's Coulson.
Anyway, moving on to Thor. This is another one of those movies that I did actually watch before my binge, and did quite enjoy.
Thor is one of those
Chris
weird movies.
Hemsworth is magic.
Yeah. Chris Hemsworth is the hottest element of the MCU, and I will take no arguments. However,
I'm not arguing with you, man.
However, he is significantly hotter with short hair.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say before or after the haircut.
The haircut helps, probably, because
he's still very hot before the haircut, but after the haircut, Jesus Christ.
Chris Hemsworth exudes some big himbo energy, let's just say.
Yeah.
Both before and especially after the haircut.
And he's just great. To this day, I don't know why it's not a particularly funny gag in the grand scheme of things, but the whole smashing the coffee cup while screaming another.
Yeah.
That gets me every single time. I don't know why, but it just
gag. I don't know how or why, but it's still such a good gag.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically we meet Chris Hemsworth, Jeremy Renner, who for some reason uses a bow and arrow. Not even like a high-tech bow and arrow or a magic bow and arrow. Just a bow and arrow. And like they go as far as to show that he's aware of it and lampshade it later on. But that doesn't stop him from still using the bow and arrow. No, he always uses just a bow and arrow. Even though they literally have, I'm pretty sure all he has to do is ask, and Thor will hook him up with, like, some sort of mystical magic mumbo-jumbo bow and arrow.
Probably, yeah.
Literally all he has to do is ask, and he'll get some sort of bow and arrow that, like, shoots laser beams. But no, he just a bow and arrow.
We're talking about Hawkeye right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
sorry,
like,
my audio cut out for.
I love archers of any kind, so. And Jeremy Renner is just fucking great.
Jeremy Renner is very good, and they actually gave him, like, a character arc and, like, stakes later on.
Yeah.
To the point that he basically takes the role of the everyman later on.
Yeah.
Because, as I have stated and will continue to state, he is literally just a dude with a bow and arrow.
Yeah.
He's really good with the bow and arrow, but could we not, like, give him literally anything that allows him to deal with some of the bigger threats in the series, of which there are myriad?
I mean, in fairness, he does pretty fucking well for himself. Like,
so imagine how awesome he would be if he...
Fuzzy, you have to remember, the only Avengers movie that Hawkeye wasn't in, the Avengers lost.
Yeah.
That is a very good point.
Yeah. But
Yeah, but, like-
seriously though, he blew the fuck up. He blew Loki the fuck up. Like he managed to get Ant-Man into Iron Man's armor, and he managed to survive
I
all of these
still don't
fucking
understand.
threats.
I still don't understand why they didn't eventually go for the Thanos initiative.
I guess his rectum was too tough. I don't fucking know.
Anyway, getting
Yeah,
back to Thor. The other really fantastic aspect of just the entire Thor trilogy, Heimdall.
Loki. Oh yeah, Heimdall.
Heimdall, Idris Elba is just glorious.
I love
Idris
Idris
Elba
Elba.
is a national treasure, or rather a global treasure because he's English.
Yeah. No, he's our national treasure. Don't you try and take him, you damn colonials.
I mean,
We're the ones who take things.
He's just like, he's great in most of the things he's in general,
Mhm.
but he's especially good as Heimdall because he's just like, kind of what's kind of funny is that Heimdall in the mythology kind of had a pretty snarky role as well.
Yeah.
So like it kind of fits because he's constantly just snarking at Thor and is just like,
Well, there's like three lines in particular, or three gags in particular that I just absolutely love from this film. When the Warriors 3 are discussing, you know, whether they should go get Thor, and they're all really nervous because like Heimdall could be watching and listening right now. What do we do? And then somebody comes up and goes, Heimdall demands your presence. We're doomed.
yeah, which again is consistent with the mythology.
Yeah.
So here's the interesting thing: a lot of the MCU, or a lot of Marvel, let's say, the MCU less so because the mythology is less prevalent, especially when they're retconned into just a race of like aliens.
Mhm.
But Marvel is surprisingly consistent with a lot of the more obscure elements of the mythology. That said, a lot of the more mainstream stuff is, interestingly enough, where they like diverge. For
But
example, Thor is even more of a himbo in the mythology. And the reason only Thor can wield Mjolnir is not because it requires you to be worthy or have like a good heart. No, the only reason Thor can wield Mjolnir is because it's very, very heavy and incredibly dangerous because it's actually constantly spewing electricity. And as a result, Thor is literally the only one who can both pick it up and survive prolonged exposure to it.
Yeah,
And
that's fucking insane.
also, he's a redhead.
Yeah. Anyway.
And Thor is a ginger, canonically.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
these.
Blame the comics for this.
Okay.
for that.
So now I'm thinking, Chris Hemsworth as a ginger, yay or nay?
Nay.
Probably wouldn't work.
Nay.
Probably wouldn't work.
I guess, but like, you know, it could. There's arguments that can be made.
He's too good as a dark blonde.
I mean,
Yeah.
yes, but like, what if is the thing.
Anyway.
No, anyway.
This the second gag of the three, where they're facing Heimdall, who just goes, "You would defy the commands of Loki, our king, break every oath you have taken as warriors, and commit treason to bring
Odin,
Thor
our king.
back." No, it was Loki.
Loki was in charge at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, right. There was that whole thing.
Yeah, and commit treason to bring Thor back. Yes, but good. Let's get going. It's just the speed of it, and then finally,
Heimdall is such an underrated character.
he really is. But then finally, I am bound by honor to our king. I cannot open the bridge to you. Sticks the sword in and leaves.
You gotta be good at those loopholes, man. You
Yeah.
gotta be good with those loopholes.
And he is one of the best at those loopholes.
And yeah, so Heimdall is great, and then there's also one of the most unfortunate because they didn't get to use him nearly as much as they should have. I always forget his name as
Anthony
Odin.
Hopkins.
Anthony Hopkins.
They got Hannibal fucking Lecter to play Odin.
Yeah.
Which honestly is like, the characters are similar enough in canon that I'm like, you
the
know what?
mythology,
Yeah.
yeah.
Both in the mythology and like in the MCU, like Odin has a lot more play in the comics, and also Odin would absolutely beat the crap out of Thanos. So they literally
we'll
had
get
to
to
write
that
him out of the. Yes, we'll get to that later, but basically, long and the short of it is whether it's in the MCU or in the comics, he absolutely would ruffle stomp Thanos, and as a result, they kind of had to expressly write him out.
Anyway, sticking to this one, I mean, he does fantastic in, the scene where he strips Thor of his godly powers.
Oh yeah, that's a good scene.
When you said the word strips, my mind immediately went to places that it should not go.
That's on you, Fuzzy. That
I
is
mean,
on
to be
you.
fair, it happened at Strips Thor,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure I'm not the only one imagining that.
No, you
No.
are.
No.
I was the one who said it. I knew what I was saying. Maybe if it had
Okay,
been
fair
said
enough.
to me, it might have been slightly different.
So yeah,
I mean, what
basically,
I would say is
we
probably
don't really care about the plot in this movie because it's not really relevant to anything. The plot in this movie is barely relevant to this movie.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what I was
Which
gonna
is kind
say,
of unfortunate, but
what I was
yeah.
gonna say is sort of the humans are the worst part of this movie.
Absolutely, and thank God they don't come back. Oh,
No, they
right.
come back and forth.
So this series like has a really phase 1 really had bad luck with casting in some respects, particularly casting female characters and also Terrence Howard. Is Natalie Portman. Will we talk about Natalie Portman's also doing a Gwyneth Paltrow?
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, neither did I actually.
Yeah, Natalie Portman kind of just didn't want to be like. Have you noticed that Natalie Portman is conspicuously absent in everything except Thor and Thor 2, including?
Yes, no, that one did stick out quite significantly.
Yeah. So the reason.
No. So, she is coming back for Thor 4.
Yeah.
Yes, because she's playing Thor. Or it's complicated. It's a whole thing. It's also one of the most faithful things they've done to the comics, because that is literally something that happened in the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Except the reason it happened was actually no. At the time, Jane Foster was dying of cancer, so I'm wondering if they'll stick that in as well. But yeah, and the fact that they broke up off screen, by the way.
Oh yeah, though it did did create one of the funny. Well, we will get to Thor Ragnarok. We're gonna have to spend a long time talking about Thor Ragnarok, but for now we are just on Thor. We haven't talked about obviously one of the biggest characters, not only in this movie but in the MCU in general, Loki.
Okay.
Oh, Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston.
Holy shit! Loki
so
just
glad
blew
for a TV series. Even though, my one gripe is that it makes sense from a writing perspective because pre-character development Loki is much easier to work with in a series.
Yeah.
Especially for character, if you want him to undergo character development.
Yeah.
I really wish it had been post-character development Loki. Of all of the people, it's not even that Tom Hiddleston wanted to stop doing it, right? It's like...
Oh no, I'm willing to bet Tom Hiddleston fucking loves to do this.
Oh yeah.
Interestingly enough, so does Chris Hemsworth. Chris
Yeah.
Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston have basically said... So, interestingly enough, I believe after Thor and Thor 2, Chris Hemsworth, not Tom Hiddleston, was kind of like iffy on returning, and then Phase 3 happened, and he was like, I will literally do this for the rest of my life.
Well, yeah, because he was actually allowed to be properly funny in Thor Ragnarok.
Yes,
Yeah,
because Thor has always been one of the most lighthearted characters in Marvel history. Like
Yeah.
the obviously Stranger in a Strange Land is a phenomenal comedy tool, which he embodies. Just the culture shock element is great. But just like the fact that he's a literal god gives him so much more leeway to do funny things and like even like slapstick stuff in the middle of fights, right? Because like
Yeah.
the stakes are a lot low. His personal stakes tend to be a lot lower because there's very little in the Marvel universe in general, and especially the MCU, that can kill him. And so it's just like, I'm so glad that we got Taika Waititi in there.
Oh, God bless Taika Waititi.
He's so
like,
good.
So the thing about Taika Waititi is he's one of those people who just, he plays himself in every movie he's in.
Yeah.
Right? But he is just funny enough as himself that it like doesn't matter, and we love it anyway.
As I said, we'll get
on.
onto that we'll get onto that when we discuss Thor Ragnarok.
Keep getting sidetracked talking about the future stuff. We should try to focus a bit more on the.
Yeah. I mean, again, there's just so little sort of to.
A lot,
well, actually, no.
Lot
I want to talk about the Warriors 3 and Sif.
Sif and the Warriors are great
because I really enjoyed them in this film.
Oh, Sif is another unfortunate casualty of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Well, no, what's unfortunate about Sif is that her actress, Jamie Alexander, ultimately had a different commitment. She was cast as the lead in a TV series that just recently ended, so she was unavailable for filming for a lot of the movies, including Thor Ragnarok, Avengers Infinity War, and Avengers Endgame, so she couldn't come back for any of those.
Well, probably a good thing, because it meant, certainly, that she missed Thor Ragnarok, because it meant she survived.
Yeah, true. They had a field day with killing off...
no, but to be fair, another thing that kind of was awkward is that because she showed up so much in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because she was on a lot of story arcs in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Ah.
I don't know, you're probably not aware of if you haven't watched it.
I have not.
Yeah, so she was on a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, there was like an entire series of story arcs involving her.
Apparently she was only in 2 episodes.
She?
Yeah, it was 2 episodes.
2 episodes, that's what Wiki says.
I could have sworn it was more.
Tie-ins to the movies.
But anyway, basically, unless your name is Samuel L. Jackson, being in one of the Marvel TV shows pre-Disney Plus kind of screwed you over for being in the Marvel movies proper.
Didn't they?
Like, even
aren't they bringing back Charlie Cox for Spider-Man 3?
Oh, is Daredevil in Spider-Man 3?
We will get on to we can get onto that. Please can we stay on phase 1?
Yes.
Seriously, Fuzzy, you are derailing this so much.
Well, excuse me for being more interested in the interesting parts of the MCU. Like, let's be real. Most of phase 1 is not very interesting. Like, there's some fun characters.
You liar, the next one is great.
Yeah. That's why I said most. Like, how many movies are there in phase 1? And how many of those, there's 2 interesting ones.
I'd say 3.
Yeah.
Arguably.
I have days when I like First Avenger and days when I don't, but
I like First Avenger a lot.
Again,
it's not a.
We can get onto that when we get onto that. For now, we are still on Thor for the time being. There are some, even though I did say that the human elements of this film were the worst parts, there are still some funny aspects.
I also do like
one of the Skarsgård brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also do like the scene where Sif and the Warriors 3 finally meet up with Thor again, and they're just like knock on the window and wave enthusiastically and smile. That's just
in full Asgardian gear.
That's just cute and funny.
Yeah.
I like that scene.
Oh, and the fact that they got fucking curb stomped by the Destroyer.
Oh yeah, can we just talk about the Destroyer is probably one of my favorite parts of the movie, not because it's in any way interesting, but because I think it has a really cool design. It's a very simplistic design,
Yes,
but I
it
think
does
the design
actually
is
have a cool design.
really cool. Like I have a soft spot for giant robots that shoot freaking laser beams. Okay? And
I don't blame you.
it is literally just that. It is literally a giant robot that shoots laser beams out of its face, not out of its eyes. It literally shoots them out of its face.
Yeah.
Or rather,
Which
where
is
its face
glorious.
would be if it had a face.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it has no face. It has just a gaping maw of fire,
Mm-hmm.
which is also excellent, by the way.
That's metal as hell. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really like the aesthetic of Destroyer.
But there's also when Thor is trying to get to Mjolnir, goes to a pet shop and just shouts, "I need a horse." We don't have horses, just dogs, cats, and birds. Then give me one of those large enough to ride.
Which, interestingly enough, I don't think Asgard has those.
Probably not.
What?
I-
Horses?
No, they don't have any birds or cats large enough to ride, and the only dog large enough to ride is kind of its own complications.
Well, apparently in Norse mythology, the goddess Freya rides on a chariot pulled by cats. So.
Yeah, but like that would actually be cool, and we can't have that in. For is Freya even in this movie? Oh right, doesn't she play Thor's mom?
No,
I think so.
that's Frigga.
Right.
Two different goddesses.
Well, sometimes they're two different goddesses. Sometimes they're two aspects of the same goddess. It's kind of one of those things.
Mythology is weird and complicated.
Yeah, no, but yeah. Also, I actually don't know if Frigga is like even Thor's mom in mythology. I think Thor might be half giant in the mythology.
I mean, in the comics, he's actually half. I think in the one iteration of the comics continuity, because that's snarled as fuck. His mom is actually Gia.
Is half Greek.
Yeah.
So, do you pronounce it like that? I'm pretty sure it's just pronounced Gaia.
It depends on the spelling and how you pronounce it. Because I've seen it spelled with an E and with an I.
But I'm pretty sure if you're not Greek, you just say Gaia.
Whatever.
For the most part.
Whatever. Anyways.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we move on now? I think we've.
Yes, I think we're ready.
We've
what did Coulson do in this movie? Was he just like kind of a dude who showed up and like
He was basically.
talked
Thor a little bit?
He talked with Thor a little bit.
Yeah.
He was the one who basically arrested Thor after Thor made his run for the hammer.
Mhm.
Oh, also, Loki has the first of many fake-out deaths in this series. When he falls into the abyss of the...
Literally,
area.
the only time Loki doesn't have a fake out death is the one time I wanted him to have a fake out death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next movie, Captain America: The First Avenger.
I like this movie.
I
It's a
really like this
fun
movie.
In which Mr. Smith is a Nazi.
Mm-hmm.
And also,
Oh, yeah.
Elrond is... You know what? I feel like Mr. Smith is less likely to have been a Nazi than Elrond. And let me explain my reasoning here. Mr. Smith was indiscriminate.
Yeah.
Whereas Elrond is a freaking elf, and you can never trust elves. You never know when they'll... Elves are just racist in general, so it's more.
I have one thing to say before we get going on to Captain America wholeheartedly. The second hottest aspect of the MCU, Sebastian Stan with short hair.
Oh yeah, I really do. He's like not as good when he's like all scruffy, is he?
The long hair doesn't do it for me. The short hair does it for me. Also, especially hot Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark.
Yeah, they like so Howard Stark. By putting him in this movie, they've made his like entire timeline and age kind of weird. It's like
by all indications, he was pretty old when Tony was born.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Is that like
he was like
he would have been
when Tony was born.
Yeah, and really just the fact that Howard Stark is plays the character he plays does create a few, like, they're not continuity issues, but they are like those things where you just have to avoid thinking too hard about it or it stops making sense.
I don't really
Ah,
care.
yes,
I don't.
good MST3K.
Yeah, I don't really care. I got to see Dominic Cooper as Howard Stark, and he has a sleazy charm to him.
He does.
I mean, look, Tony is very much just his dad 2.0.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a passing resemblance between him and Robert Downey Jr.
Mm.
And any place where there isn't a resemblance can be like passed off as mom's side
From the
of
mother's
genes.
side, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so kind of cool that they cast. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that they casted really well, and once again, screwed over by the TV series.
Well,
Carter.
I was gonna say to also mention that also very attractive Haley Atwell as Peggy Carter.
Haley Atwell is perfect casting.
Mm-hmm.
Just as a reminder, we are not exclusively attracted to men on this show, despite what it may seem like at times.
I like to point out the men because society tends to point out the women more. So
fair enough.
I see it as my duty to point out the men.
Also, I do feel like it's kind of hard to say, "Ma'am, I'm respectfully looking," compared to when there's man service.
Again, it's double standards at its finest.
But at the same time, like, societal objectification of women is a thing. So we
that's a much more it's much more sensitive issue in general. So yeah, no, I understand, but like basically everyone's hot because it's Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I think more or less, I think we can come to that conclusion.
Yeah.
I will say though that
Fuzzy, does that mean you have a crush on Tommy Lee Jones?
Wow.
And Hugo Weaving?
I didn't know you were into that kind of thing, Fuzzy.
Tommy Lee Jones is in this movie?
Yeah, he's the fucking general.
Sergeant.
He's a colonel. The colonel.
Yeah. General, I think.
He's also...
Oh, it's colonel.
Is it colonel? Yeah, it is
he
colonel.
He also does some, like, drill sergeant stuff.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
he trains Captain America in his
cohort. It's also one of those things where I just wish he was in more things, because he's a great actor, but apparently he's just not fun to work with.
Mm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
that is unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyway, this is definitely my favorite movie of Phase 1, and this is probably...
Which is wild to me because it's probably the second most critically panned.
I don't know why. I mean, look, I'm a historian. I have a degree in history. I love history films or films set in the past, regardless of how
I was gonna say, at what point
unrealistic is this? It is, but I don't care.
At what point in history did the Nazis get laser beams? I'm pretty sure they had laser beams at some point in this book. This book?
Movie.
Look, words are hard, and eventually all words just start to mean the same things.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, this is just a really...
I really like this movie too.
Yeah, this is just a really fun movie as well as... I mean, what really...
Also, Chris Pratt... later. Chris Evans.
We'll have a lot to say about Chris Pratt when we get there, but yes, Chris Evans.
Yes, we didn't get Chris Pratt shirtless in this movie, but we did get Chris Evans shirtless in this movie. He was CGI'd both times. Once in one of the most unsettling Uncanny Valley things in the Marvel Universe, in which they CG'd Chris Evans' head onto a very small, short, skinny individual's body.
I think it worked for the most part, but yeah.
There's a few moments where it's just like, oh god.
Yeah.
I will say though, like, Chris Evans does a great job in the movie. And also, interesting bit of trivia, during the end of the transformation scene, when the pod busts open and Cap is shown shirtless, glistening with sweat in his buff form for the first time, Haley Atwell actually straight up briefly copped a feel, and that was improvised entirely.
Oh
Look,
god.
I don't necessarily blame her.
Yeah.
I don't blame her either. It's shirtless Chris Evans.
Which, yeah, they had to CGI a little extra buffness to make him look superhuman, but he's still
Yeah.
pretty
Chris
ripped.
Evans is fucking ripped.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he is still really swole in general.
Should we rename this episode the MCU Thirst Podcast?
Not just this episode. At that point, we might as well rename the rest of the MCU series of the Paradox Hour.
I will make sure to make the adjustments when naming the next one.
I mean, also,
Let's be real.
like,
There's a lot of.
I will say part of the reason we're not thirsting over the female characters more is because there's just not that many.
Unfortunately, at this stage, that is true. Yes.
Until like late phase 2 when they start introducing more.
I mean, I've given my reasons why.
Well, yeah, no, but that's my
There's also
reason.
the ethical implications, but yeah, just in a fairer world where there wasn't a massive difference in the balance of power,
People could
even
ultimately
then
thirst over attractive people.
we still wouldn't have that much to thirst over unless we're talking about the dudes,
Yeah,
just due to sheer numbers.
Yeah.
yeah. It is unfortunate, but it does improve later on. But for now, we will have to quote-unquote settle for some of the very buff
Oh
men.
no!
who
Whatever
occupy-
shall I do?
Whatever shall we do? Oh no!
Also,
This
I
is
should
terrible.
note, on a physical level, I'm not even attracted to dudes. Oh.
Yeah, I don't think I am either. But at the same time, like,
But like on an aesthetic level, you gotta just appreciate.
you really do.
It's just like
Aesthetically speaking, they are extremely, extremely good looking.
Don't worry, I'll appreciate them on a more than an aesthetic level for all of us.
oh, we
I'll,
know, Mill.
I'll
We
take that
know.
We
bullet.
know.
I'll take that bullet.
I'm sure it
Honestly,
must
I
be so
can't-
difficult for you, Mill.
I can't blame anyone who thirsts after Chris Evans because Chris Evans does look attractive.
Mm.
Like, even speaking as a straight person, probably.
Anyway, we should probably get onto like the actual like content of the movie rather than just thirsty.
Wait, there's content? I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Because again, this is as I said. I mean, just in general, a lot of the Phase 1 the Phase 1
the plot
movies
of
are
this movie
basically
is-
the Phase 1 movies are basically the backstories for the main trio for this
And,
saga.
saga.
Of
the long and
the
the short
MCU.
of it is, Nazi Elrond thirsts over a magic rock,
Kinda,
and
yeah.
also Captain America.
Yeah, and
Let's
that's
be
Honestly,
real.
I really like Captain America.
So,
I feel like
what's
the
interesting,
right
and
combination.
I think,
He's the right combination of good old-fashioned values and forward thinking.
He reminds
In
me a
my
lot. He reminds me a lot of Michael from the Dresden Files, in that he is,
yeah.
the ideal of, his archetype.
yes, he is basically what it would be like if America actually cared about the values that it pretends
Was
to care
good,
about.
yes.
Is the classic good American,
Yeah.
and he doesn't really have any strong caveats to him. He's just a good
Unless you're,
person.
oh right. Marvel Ultimates also ruined that because they made him a bigot.
I mean, fuck Ultimates for multiple
Okay,
reasons, but
you know
that's one
what's
of them.
very odd about Marvel Ultimates?
Yeah.
Characters call him out on his bigotry, but they don't call him out. No, they don't call him out. Oh no, they call him out. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this because it's a very awkward sentence to say. Basically, no one says anything when he's bigoted. They just say, "Oh, he's from another era." When he points out that it's kind of weird that Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch, who are twins, are banging, when someone points that out, when he points that out, they're like, "Oh, Cap, you have to stop being so old-fashioned. It's like get with the times." And I'm like, "Really? You'll
one was
call him out on
incest okay?
yeah." So apparently, twincest is okay. calling. I just like. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes. No, I remember
Why?
that. We get another reason
Why?
to assign Marvel Ultimates to the trash bin.
Literally, the only good thing that came out of Marvel Ultimates is the redesign of Nick Fury as
Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Is the only good thing that came out of that run.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he is somehow an American from the 40s who is not racist. Which is just great. That's
He's
just
a good
like
person. That's the thing. He's just a good person, and it's nice.
And I just like
I mean,
has this whole
the
crisis of faith when he and he literally spends his first initial run as Captain America just being a propaganda machine.
Yeah.
Which just crushes his soul on so many levels, and then he decides, you know what? Please just let me punch some Nazis. And they're like, fine, you can go punch Nazis. And he's like, yes. And then he gets an awesome team who, once again, screwed by people.
Yeah, no, the team was one of the best parts of this movie. Like,
I mean, they're
canonically,
also screwed by
you know what the interesting part is, and what
they're also kind of screwed by chronology. Because they're kind of from like 70 years before the present of everything else.
Except, here's the thing. There's another thing that's screwed over here. Do you know what it is? Screwed over by Fox.
Hello?
Oh? You not hear me?
Motherfucker.
It's just your internet, Jack.
Yeah. So what were you saying, Fuzzy?
In a moment of screwed over by Fox, who was canonically on this team? On Captain America's Howling Commandos.
Do you want me to go through the cast list?
No. Who was on this but is not in it in the MCU?
Oh, I don't know.
The comics. Wolverine.
Oh
yeah.
Wolverine was literally on Howling Commandos with Captain America. Under Captain America.
I like Dum Dum Dugan.
Is fantastic, and no, can you just imagine if we could get Hugh Jackman and Chris Evans in the same movie?
That'd be fun.
I also like Jim Morita.
Honestly, all the Howling Commandos are really good.
Yeah.
Let's not forget Hot. Because, as we've established, this is a podcast about thirsting over the male characters of Marvel.
The character that really stole the first part of the movie was Erskine.
Oh yeah, he's great.
Was he played by Stanley Tucci, or am I thinking of someone else?
Stanley Tucci was indeed the actor who played him.
Again, just such a waste of a perfectly good Stanley Tucci.
No, he played the role really well.
Yeah.
No, that's my point, is that why could he not have been a role that, showed up in more than one movie?
The problem
is my biggest regret.
Erskine is
I know. So just cast someone else as Erskine. I know. But just cast someone else as Erskine and then just put Stanley Tucci somewhere else.
Fuzzy, you need someone who is good at acting to play that role, because that role is basically like what sets Captain America.
It's the emotional. He is the emotional center of the movie.
Yes.
Absolutely, he is the
or at least
emotional
the
center
first
of the
half
movie.
of the movie.
Also,
the emotional center of the rest of the movie is the relationship between Cap and Peggy.
Also, would it have killed him to write it down somewhere?
Yes. In fact, it did. He was right in the middle of writing down the formula when he was killed.
Yeah.
To be fair, you know what's ironic? In a lot of storylines, the one who recreates the formula is actually Bruce Banner.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Do you know why specifically? In many of the storylines,
because he has 9 PhDs.
No, because him taking the super soldier formula allows him to maintain rationality as the Hulk.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's the catalyst for, at least, if not in some of the, like, standalone spin-offs, at least in, like, one storyline, that is the catalyst for Professor Hulk, is he takes Chris Evans's roids and manages to somehow the roids make him smart because he's already strong enough, because he's already capped his strength. It overflows into his int.
Getting back to the movie we're actually supposed to be discussing, we also get the shield that does not obey the laws of physics at all.
Yeah,
How
that's
the
fun.
How the fuck does it always fly back to him?
So, interestingly enough, there's actually a canonical reason both in the movies and it's kind of a hilarious reason. The reason is that the roids didn't just make Captain America strong; they also made him smart. He does it because he's literally doing all of the kinematic equations in his head, how to make it come back to him.
Yeah. He's literally doing
That is literally the explanation.
Like, no, fuck off. Sometimes it just flies off, like, into the middle of nowhere, and then suddenly it comes back. I would have rather the explanation been that he has a really fucking strong magnet on his arm that he just uses to pull it back.
Well, no, because in every instance, there are instances where it doesn't come back to him. Not in this movie, but there are instances in later movies where it doesn't come back to him, and it's because he's in a place where he can't, like, shoot his shot.
I still say that. I still agree with Spider-Man that shield does not obey the laws of physics.
I mean, if anyone would know, it would be Spider-Man. He's, like, probably, in the MCU at least, probably the third smartest character introduced in terms of sheer, like, IQ and intelligence. Depending on which comics version, maybe the second smartest.
So in the MCU, are we going? One of the two is Banner.
Okay, I missed everything. Guys, I missed everything from Mill freaking out to just now because my audio cut out again.
Talking about the three smartest characters in the MCU and how it's Tony Stark and Bruce Banner are tied for first, and then Peter Parker is probably third.
I thought Shuri was also the top 5.
Oh, I forgot Shuri was introduced in the MCU in Black Panther. Right. She's up there, but I feel like
I think she's like third or second or third.
Oh boy.
I don't know how much that applies in the MCU, but she is definitely up there in the comics. And also, they are, funnily enough, and I'm really glad about this, introducing who is probably on par with Stark and Banner in the Disney Plus shows, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Moon Girl is canonically like obscenely intelligent.
Back to the movie we're discussing.
Oh.
Come on, man.
No. This is relevant to Phase 1.
Okay.
It better be.
So, it's relevant to Tony Stark. Can I talk about that? Or do we want to wait until Avengers?
Yeah, wait till Avengers. Okay,
yeah. And remind me to say the comic thing, the Tony Stark relevant thing during Avengers.
Anyways, I was going to discuss another scene in this movie that was really good, which is the scene where Colonel Phillips tosses a fake grenade into the cadets and pretends that's a live one.
So that is basically what convinces. That is the real capstone into making Chris Evans Captain America, like choosing him for the roids, is that everyone else runs, he jumps on the grenade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They don't know that it's not a live grenade, but
it's really just an establishing character moment right there. It's just like, this is a person who will literally give his life.
Yeah.
For his people.
Mm-hmm.
I just wish that His people were more often worth giving his life for.
Yeah.
Look, in any story that features Captain America, you're gonna have to talk about America that actually exists, and
Yeah.
40s were not a great time in America. Let's be real. Especially if you weren't a straight white man.
a few weeks ago wasn't a great time in America.
Anyway.
A lot of
Yeah,
people.
Anyway, let's just talk about well, just Tommy Lee Jones in general was pretty
He's
hilarious
great
in this
movie.
film. Like he had
one
one
of
of
my
the
favorite lines is from him when he shoots Hydra Goon.
I was about to mention that. Like the fucking Hydra motto, cut off one head, two more shall rise. Fucking Tommy Lee Jones fucking shoots him with a shotgun and shouts, "Let's go find two more then."
Just like I wish Tommy Lee Jones was a better person in real life so he could show up in more fun movies. Apparently he also takes himself. I've heard that he takes himself very seriously and as a result refuses to do like roles that are not.
Didn't he do like a bunch of Japanese commercials for coffee?
Yeah, which is it's the
You don't do Japanese commercials unless you don't take yourself seriously.
I mean, it was kind of between roles at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was earlier in his career as well, so I feel like,
Anyways.
No, that's the irony, is that he's been in a fair amount of comedies and funny things, but apparently he's just notoriously dour and, like, all serious all the time in life.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yes?
We also need to talk about the two central relationships in this movie that last past the first act because Erskine dies. That is Cap's relationships with Bucky and Peggy.
He has a pretty decent relationship with Howard Stark as well.
Yeah.
True, but I think his relationships with Bucky and Peggy kind of form the emotional core of the movie after Erskine dies.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Peggy pegs?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think America's ass would be down for that.
Yeah.
We could talk more about that later.
We'll talk more about America's ass in our next.
Look, it came into my head and I had to say it.
But anyways, I like the romance between the two because it's actually really well done.
Yeah.
It doesn't rely on like dumb plot contrivances most of the time, and literally the only major conflict that happens in the romance is when there's a slight misunderstanding, and that gets cleared up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Also, it does lead to a funny scene of Cap testing out his shield when and Peggy helping him do so.
Oh my.
She literally takes a gun and shoots the shield.
Oh my.
Anyways.
But if we don't know if Cap's into that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he likes a little adrenaline to really get him going.
We know Hori from Miyamura is into that.
Let's save that for the next animated discussion.
Yeah, let's talk about Hugo Weaving.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes, Nazi Elrond, one of the most complicated emotional parts of the movie, because it's Elrond, but also it's a Nazi.
Because Red Skull is not, like, the most complicated or the, like...
No.
The most nuanced character.
But he is still pretty fucking great.
There is a very, very interesting character dynamic, though, between him and Cap, in that Captain America is basically the Ubermensch, right? Like, he is literally the Nazi ideal form. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed, superhuman.
And yet he's just such a humble dude who does
No. It's like...
Well, here's the thing: Red Skull was never actually was never really a Nazi. Like that was the point. He was just using the Nazis' resources more than anything else.
To be fair, he was a Nazi. He just it wasn't his primary motivation. Right? Like he was still hella racist.
Fun
Like-
fact,
Find me a
Slight
man
tangent.
that's not Captain America in that time period that wasn't racist.
Yeah, but like
Fun-
not
fun
all
fact.
of them. Yes. Yes, sir.
Slight tangent from this, but there was once a comic crossover between Captain America and Batman where Joker and initially teamed up with Red Skull, but eventually broke off the team up because
He wasn't
found
aware
out
Red Skull was a Nazi. So
And he
that is-
says, "I'm an American criminal lunatic."
So here's one of the worst parts of that. The stuff that the Joker has done makes like Red Skull and the Nazis in general seem like children throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
So that was one of the most morally dissonant like pieces of blatant propaganda in history, really.
I just find it hilarious.
Yeah,
But yeah.
it's just.
Anyways,
I mean, if you want, also relevant to New York City, if you want really, really morally dissonant things, it's after 9/11, they literally had a comic special of all of the Marvel Universe's most heinous villains at ground zero in mourning, being like, yeah, no, we would never do this, even though they've literally committed genocide, literally all of them.
even
It's just
Doctor
like-
fucking Doom was crying over the.
Dr. Doom, aka enslaves children and kills like literal worlds
He's a
full
military
of people. Dr. Doom.
dictator. He is literally a fucking dictator. Anyways.
Anyway,
moving
back onto Red Skull. Red Skull has some really good lines, like when Cap says his iconic line, "I can do this all day." Red Skull responds, "Of course you can. Unfortunately, I am on a very tight schedule."
I will say one other thing is that there's a really great moment in which, because here's the thing, right? Captain America is everything that Red Skull wants to be.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Like not like on a physical level, and the fact that I take no credit for this. This was pointed out. I found this out from OSP. He brings up the "we're not so different" trope, and Captain America is just like humbly says, "I'm just a kid from Brooklyn," and he loses it.
Yeah.
Like absolutely flips out, and it makes a lot of sense because like this is
Who wants to be from Brooklyn?
me, right? Also,
Also, it's just like
can you imagine what this movie would have been like if what this franchise would have been like if Captain America they made Chris Evans do a stereotypical Brooklyn accent for the entire
Oh, God.
series?
that would have been awful.
And now I'm imagining Captain America with little Karibo's Joey voice.
Oh my god, yes.
Brooklyn Rage.
Yeah.
Yeah. God.
Oh God.
Moral of the story is that everything's funnier with a Brooklyn accent, especially if you're basically an Ubermensch sort of deal.
Anyway,
Yeah,
I think we should probably move on to the final film. Watch.
Avengers.
Real
Okay.
quick, we also have to talk about Cap's best bro for life, Bucky, dying. Yeah, he's
Yes.
totally
In
dying.
inverted commas.
Totally gonna die.
Totally, he
Definitely.
totally dies by falling
100%.
into ice, and we don't see his body. Also, I do want to say that Captain America has probably one of the most sad endings to any film.
Yeah, no, everyone he knows and loves is either dead or old.
Yeah. Well, just like the final line is like, "Yeah, I'm fine. I I promised someone to dance."
Yeah.
And that's just like a really heartbreaking line to
Mm.
just end the movie on.
So heartbreaking that they broke their own rules later in the series to make it less heartbreaking. But
Don't
more on
care.
that later.
Don't care. I liked it.
I liked it too. I don't mind plot inconsistency too much on that
Anyway,
front.
moving on to the final film in the MCU Phase 1, Avengers.
Okay, so I'd like to bring up just one thing that I wasn't able to during the because I forgot about it actually completely, which is Tony Stark has a really interesting origin story in what's it called in the comics, and I'm gonna go through it because it's too weird to not go through. So
Make it quick, man.
It's quick. Howard Stark gets really into gene manipulation after witnessing all of the Captain America stuff, and as a result, he experiments on his own DNA and takes efforts to create his own custom designer baby, which is specifically designed to be as intelligent and as like basically just a superhuman baby. Right? He genetically creates a superhuman child whose intelligence breaks all known laws of logic. And that child's name is Arno Stark, Tony Stark's brother.
Huh.
Meanwhile, Tony Stark is just some kid who was at an orphanage that he sponsored for charity, and he decided to bring him home.
And this is canon.
This is canon, yes.
The comics.
This is canon to the comics, yes.
Yeah, but canon to the comics is such a, like...
No, this is one of the
thing.
things... They've never really changed this, which is why I'm comfortable saying it. Like, right? They've never really bothered to change it because no one really cares about Tony Stark's early life. Tony Stark's origin story, whenever it's retconned, traditionally they retcon the cave with a box of scraps. They never really retcon his early life, and in canon, he's just some kid that Howard Stark picked up in an orphanage that his company sponsored.
I actually like that a bit more because
it removes the genetic component and it lets Tony kind of stand on his own.
Yeah, no, he's just naturally smart.
Yeah, he's just naturally better at everything than everyone.
Anyways, moving on to Avengers, which was released in the UK as Avengers Assemble because there is a somewhat famous franchise there.
Okay, funnily enough, I actually saw that. I saw the remake of that, the really bad remake with Sean Connery on TV once.
Oh god, I've heard that movie is terrible.
It is. It's League of Extraordinary Gentlemen levels.
I enjoyed the 2003 League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
But did you enjoy the Sean Connery Avengers?
I didn't watch that.
Probably a smart decision.
I enjoyed the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's fair.
It was a fun film.
I can forgive that, I think. But like
now that it's on Disney Plus, I'll probably give it a watch again.
Oh boy.
Wait, why is League of Extraordinary Gentlemen on Disney Plus?
Because it got Star.
It
got all the Star stuff. So it's now got stuff like fucking Bones on there as well.
That's kind of hilarious, actually.
Yeah.
Is that just UK?
Don't think so.
Oh.
I'd be surprised.
Disney Plus. Always get it Pro tips for Disney Plus: wait until the shows you're interested in. Wait until it finishes a season cycle, then get the free trial, binge them all, and then quit. That's literally why you use Disney Plus.
I would have done that for Owl House if somebody didn't make me watch the MCU. And then I had to keep it. So, blame...
And to be fair, Mandalorian. And
Mandalorian's really good.
WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
You say that like I watched The Mandalorian.
You've not
You
watched
should,
The Mandalorian,
honestly.
you'd really like it.
I'm not a fan of Star Wars stuff.
You don't have to be. It's basically just like you could pretend it's not about Star Wars at all, and you can never watch Star Wars and still enjoy The Mandalorian.
Anyway, this was the first, like, ridiculous hit of the MCU.
Yeah, this grossed like $1.5 billion.
This grossed almost 3 times more than the other MCU films. Or
Yep.
the highest grossing MCU film of Phase 1.
At the
I
time, it was like
believe
highest
was-
grossing film of all time for like
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
solid few years, yeah?
No, it was still behind Titanic and Avatar.
Third highest grossing
Yeah,
film of all
or,
time,
like,
highest
adjusted-
grossing film of 2012.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, summary of this movie is very simple. Loki does a bad, Avengers assemble, many memes.
This
So-
movie is actually a really funny movie.
It
overall.
is.
It is the first really, real bit of proof that movies like this, like, you can have a blockbuster action movie and still have it be funny,
Yeah.
right? Because, like, that wasn't really a thing, right? There were attempts, but this was one of the most notable successes of the 2010s.
Yeah.
Of
It
action
really
movie that also is both good quality and is funny.
Yeah.
A lot of that is Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo
Mark
is
Ruffalo
fucking
is
great.
Mark Ruffalo and Chris Hemsworth is just like Mark Ruffalo is really the quintessential Bruce Banner.
Yeah.
Oh, well, one thing. He's a little less neurotic than Bruce Banner is in the comics, but he's great.
He's just so, like, so clearly done with everything. And so he just fucking, like, he's
Tried to. So this is awkwardly enough. Ang Lee's Hulk is also canon to the MCU somehow, because Ang Lee's Hulk is canon to the Incredible Hulk with Ed Norton, and Ed Norton Hulk is canon to the MCU. Therefore, Ang Lee Hulk is somehow canon to this. It's just like,
Anyway, it's just like
Why?
he's just so done with everything, and so it just has such a dry wit. Like it's a different kind of snark to Tony Stark, but it's just as funny.
and they just have such great. The bromance between Bruce Banner and Tony Stark is one of the best parts of the
Yeah.
series.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Stark
Like-
just has really good dynamics with a lot of other characters, but Bruce Banner in particular has just such a great dynamic with him.
There's just so much sexual tension. Like, look, they like drive off in his sports car at the end, like arm in arm. They're basically like, they might as well be sitting on the same seat.
Anyway, the scene I need to mention is fucking Hulk murdering Loki.
Oh
That-
god,
Puny God.
is such a
Puny God is
Just,
so
and also
fucking
the
fantastic.
prelude to that scene is one of the best lines to date in like the MCU. I have an army. We have a Hulk.
Yeah. Well, no,
And-
it just builds to that because it's you've got that, and then fucking Hawkeye just explodes Loki after Loki caught the arrow, thinking, "Haha, very funny. Like you could actually hurt." Boom, and suddenly sees Hulk and just loses his shit. And then just the fucking sound he makes when he's just embedded in the floor.
That whimpering.
Just that.
and, pure. Also, the moment where he's trying to mind control.
Oh,
Iron
Tony,
Man.
just performance issues.
The
It happens to
performance
everyone.
anxiety joke.
A good like half of the.
Oh,
And the
Jack cut out
irony
again.
is that there's no reason it shouldn't work on Tony. The only thing is that he literally all he had to do was
Shifted over a couple of inches.
yeah, because it's not like he has some magical protection. Literally all they'd have to do is move over a little bit.
Yeah.
And it would have worked. But he's not smart enough to do that.
In fairness, it was such a wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, it did work every other time. It's just I can understand his confusion, but at the same time, dude, really? Is that really?
It was just such a funny scene. It's he tries a couple times, and it's oh, performance issues.
There's also the fact that when
the old 2 out of 1 in 3 men really.
Yeah.
It's just
another fantastic
and then
scene.
Loki eats him out a window.
Yeah, another fantastic scene with Loki though is when Thor first arrives.
I'm gonna stop you right there.
Yeah.
Another fantastic scene with Loki is every single one he's in.
That's fair. That is fair. But
Yeah.
I just want to mention just the fact that Thor is and you're going to listen. So listen, and then Stark just hits him. I'm listening. And just sits and watches fucking Thor and Iron Man, and then Captain America just battle out.
Also,
I'm having a nice time.
Are you aware of the really bad swear word they snuck in? Snuck in.
No, I'm not.
So essentially, Loki called Black Widow the C word.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of.
Yeah, apparently Tom Hiddleston apologized profusely to Scarlett Johansson after that scene was filmed.
Thank Joss Whedon for that
that's
one.
because Tom. Yeah, no, Joss Whedon is the reason that scene is in.
We'll talk about him
probably
later. We'll talk about.
No, Tom Hiddleston apologized for that because he is, by all accounts, a pretty nice dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Just to briefly say it, fuck Joss Whedon.
Yeah.
Of course, we just our regularly scheduled screw Josh Whedon and everything he stands for.
Yeah. No. Fuck him. Anyways.
Hopefully not literally. No one should do that. No one should have to take that bullet.
Yeah.
Anyways.
There's also when they were on the fucking giant sky thingy. I'm sorry, I'm very tired. Helicarrier. And that very, very brave fighter pilot tries to shoot Hulk.
Oh yeah.
It's just
that poor bastard.
They need to if he survived somehow, and they need to give him all of the money.
All the medals.
Also, there's just that one guy playing
Gallagher.
In the background. It's just I love that guy. There's a lot of neat little moments in the helicarrier, and also
in general really has a lot of neat tidbits. Oh, I gotta say, one of my favorite bits in the movie was Captain America's first confrontation with Loki, which just had the excellent scene of the old man standing up.
Oh yeah, I really liked the random old man. He was cool.
Mm-hmm.
And just Captain America saying last time I was in Germany, I had a similar disagreement with another man who was standing above everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And only one of us survived.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't say that, but
it's true.
It is.
Oh,
In fact,
yeah. I'm just going through the funny list for the movie on TV tropes.
oh no.
When they're trying to restart the fucking busted engine for their helicarrier, and
Oh, yeah.
Cap tries to help him, sees all these wires, and just goes, "It seems to run on some form of electricity." Well, you're not wrong.
I,
I also love
like
that when the turbine gets turned back on, Tony gets stuck in the thing and just
Yeah.
gets ping ponged around.
Yeah.
I'm like at that point maybe just leave it to the PhDs,
Mm-hmm.
of which you have two people with like 17 PhDs.
Yeah.
Just it's fine. You can go
Geniuses.
just go stand over there and look pretty. That's really all Cap has to do
Mm-hmm.
when tech stuff is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and
Yeah.
fucking Black Widow's introduction scene, which is how she should have been introduced to the MCU in general.
Yeah, instead of making her a secretary, which is the single most sexist way you could have handled that, really.
And also laziest.
Yeah. And just that whole look, don't bother me. I'm in the middle of an interrogation. This moron is giving me everything. The Russian official. I don't give everything, do I?
Yeah.
Oh god. And then the fucking Coulson just basically on hold, just listening to Black Widow beat the shit out of these three dudes.
Colson is great in this movie, and I am really sad that they killed him in the movie.
Yeah. So
Because
Coulson's
Joss Whedon
heroic
fucking murdered
sacrifice again. Coulson is the emotional center of the Avengers, even after he gets carted off to TV land. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like the character deserved better than what he got.
Blame Joss Whedon as murder boner.
Yeah.
No. Even in the TV, he had a really crappy ending in the TV show as well.
Well, that's not something we're
blame
really.
the person who apparently hates fucking Phil Coulson.
Yeah, which I don't. It's probably that guy. What's his face? Ike something or other.
Perlmutter.
Yeah.
Yes,
Who hates everything good.
Probably him. Yes. Just blame him for lack of a better. Just Coulson just gets done dirty. Can we agree on that at least?
Oh yeah.
Really deserved better. So he is the emotional center of the team through the power of children's card games.
Yes.
By the way,
Is,
Fuzzy.
isn't it?
By the way, Fuzzy, I will not rest until I have at least one game of Yu-Gi-Oh with you.
Oh, you're right. We both play Yu-Gi-Oh. Why do we not play Yu-Gi-Oh on this? We need to have an entire stream where we're just playing weird Yu-Gi-Oh with each other.
Yeah. You can make a deck as
Yu-Gi-Oh in over a decade.
You can make a deck as well, Jack.
We'll just use the free
I haven't
program.
played in over a decade.
So what? So what? I don't use fucking cards past GX. You wouldn't be at that much of a disadvantage.
Wait. Really? You don't? Okay,
I don't use Xyz. I don't use links. I don't use pendulums. I don't use synchros.
Thank God for that, because I have no idea how any of
Anyway.
Anyway, sorry, got off track. I got excited.
I just hope you're ready for my 19 Exodia deck, Smil. Exclusively, if it's not an Exodia deck, I'm not gonna play it. That is the only way I play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where, okay, you know what? We'll talk about it after the stream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So two things I want to definitely mention. Obviously the assembled scene, where it's the 360 spin round all of them is obviously very good.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about Alan Silvestri's score. Alan Silvestri made an iconic theme for the Avengers with this.
Yeah.
With this entire score.
I also love when in the middle of the climactic everyone is fighting scene, You Say Run just starts playing. That's a really good touch.
You Say Run hadn't even been created at that point.
Yeah.
Back. Please don't be that guy. Please don't be that guy.
Maybe I will.
Why are you always that guy who like?
Fuzzy, you are sometimes also that guy.
Yeah, but like my entire character is like cynicism, saltiness, and generally being.
Anyway, the other one that I wanted to mention was the Wanner.
Yeah, the Wonder is a really good.
I just love Wanners in general.
To explain, a Wonder is basically a long take where it continues a scene without cutting to another camera for a set period of time.
The old God of War.
Well, the Netflix shows actually used a lot of Wonders too, but
Daredevil had some excellent
yeah, we'll talk about that at another point. But the Wonder
about that at another point.
The Wonder in Avengers is a really good one because it's basically just like it follows them through the different Avengers as they fight through the city, and it's just like a solid minute and a half of awesome action.
And then ends hilariously with Hulk just fucking punching Thor for no reason.
I laughed my ass off when I first saw that scene. That was so funny. It was
honestly,
just like
Thor's probably the only person Hulk can punch for no reason without extended consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing though?
Go ahead.
Kind of a waste of the Chitauri.
I mean, they are the suckiest army in the galaxy.
Yeah, no, it's just like the Chitauri were genuinely like kind of menacing in the comics. Chitauri and the Skrull. Well, I like what they did with the Skrull. The Skrull were a lot more stupid than the Chitauri in the comics, and as a result, I like that they made them kind of comic relief.
We will get to the Skrull when we get to Captain Marvel, but yes, general, I did like the Skrull.
I will say the
solely
Chitauri
because of Ben Mendelsohn,
like...
I should add.
Yes.
Oh yeah, the Chitauri in the comics are essentially just they're like the kind of like the Mongols meet the Romans of the Marvel Extended Universe. They're not like the reason they're not like uber powerful and like the top tier of like civilizations in the Marvel universe is because they don't have any singular, like they don't have any gods essentially. Like they don't have any god tier characters. But in terms of quality of army, again, ironically enough, in terms of quality of army, military tactics, and overall discipline and capabilities, the Chitauri are probably ranked the highest.
Well, it's because they're hive mind.
No. Chitauri are not entirely a hive mind.
In the movies, they are.
Oh, in the movies they are. Okay, fair enough. Because, like, the Chitauri also, they don't have god-level characters, but they do have demigod-level characters, which are these functionally immortal... They're like Wolverine-level healing factor shapeshifters. Which I would have loved to see in the movies. Is just, they're basically the T-1000. Ironically enough, they're dealt with in largely the same way as the T-1000, i.e. drowned in molten vibranium. God, I said Wolverine-like healing factor and drowned in molten vibranium in the same sentence, didn't I?
You are a nerd, yes.
Oh, no, that's just like... Again... Well, yes, I'm just reinforcing that I'm a nerd, but that's like, you know, Death of Wolverine and all that.
Anyway.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler considering the fact that the arc is named Death of Wolverine, so you kind of should know what you're getting into.
Well, it's also comic books have a revolving door afterlife.
Especially if Death wants to bang you, which, you know, at the very least, is the case, well, kind of with Deadpool.
Yeah. Anyways,
another fucking hilarious line is when Tony makes his big entrance into the helicarrier and suddenly stops, covers his eye, and just like, how does Fury even see those screens? He turns. Sounds exhausting.
Honestly, the dialogue
I
film
love
is just really
the
good.
backstory of how Fury got his eye patch in this movie. I love it so much. It's so stupid that it works.
It's made even
We'll talk
better.
about that when we get to it.
I just want to say it's made even better by I think it was Winter Soldier. He said, "I lost this eye because the last time I trusted somebody." It's just like.
It's true. We'll talk about that when we get to it, though.
We will.
Yeah, the dialogue in this movie overall is really strong.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of really good dialogue
really
in here.
Begins the trend of having like really snappy dialogue and in the
Well, it
whole of
the trend, but it's
because like it's solidified.
because
Yeah, because
Iron Man
like
started the
Iron
trend.
Man began the trend, but let's be real, everything after Iron Man was kind of like not great. There were moments in Captain America. Thor was great, but like only Thor was great. Right? Like all of the people were not so good. Also, they brought back that one guy from Thor just to, I don't know, do stuff with him.
Eric Selvig,
Brainwash.
yeah. I mean, he's a you know,
Did he ever show up afterwards?
Yes, he shows up in Thor 2 and Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron.
Did he ever show up afterwards in a good movie?
No.
No.
Okay, yeah.
I will take issue with Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron is
you are not
internet.
the only one.
No. I enjoyed Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, we'll talk about when we get to that, when we talk about Phase 2.
Phase 2 in general was kind of a...
hit or miss.
Okay, we'll get to that. But basically, I think we've been gushing for about two hours or so.
Yeah.
We have any closing thoughts on Avengers? Because I feel like we've kind of talked ourselves out.
Avengers is probably the best movie of the series at this point. Like, there's a reason Avengers was so successful. It basically guaranteed the success of the MCU from then onwards.
It was probably the best action movie to come out in like 10 years. At the time, right?
Easily one of the best to come out in the past, in the 10 years before, yeah.
Like, I've kind of been thinking about this. The 2010s was kind of like a renaissance for big budget action movies, right? You had your Marvel movies, you had like the John Wicks of the world.
You got Mad Max Fury Road.
Mad Max. You got a really, really good series of incredibly solid AAA action movies in the 2010s, and like then 2020 happened.
I laugh so that I don't cry. I think the final thing we should mention in terms of Avengers is the mid-credit scene. Nothing really that important about it.
No, the mid-credit scene introduces Thanos.
I was joking.
Which kicks off the overarching arc that continues through phases 2 and 3.
I was joking because yes, I know that.
No, I thought you were talking about the shawarma scene.
Oh, the shawarma scene as well.
It's actually fantastic.
It is pretty funny.
The shawarma scene is great. I just love the fact that the place is somehow still open. I mean, to be fair, it's possible that the guy was like in hiding and they were like, "Hey, can you make us some shawarmas?" And he was like,
"Yeah.
I mean, you did literally just save all of our lives, so sure, I guess I'll give you a discount."
Oh, we almost forgot to mention that Avengers continues the trend of government people being sketchy as fuck by having them decide to override Fury and launch a nuke at New York City.
I mean, it did give a pretty good line from Fury when they announced their decision, and Fury went, "I recognize that the council has made a decision, but given that it's a stupid-ass decision, I've elected to ignore it."
Yeah.
Also,
Fury has some great lines.
I mean, again, it's because he's just Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. No,
Samuel L. Jackson is absolutely like a treasure.
Mm-hmm.
He is.
And like the fact that he's like kind of getting on in years scares me a great deal, because like I don't think we're ever gonna get another.
it's gonna be a sad day when he finally decides to swear the shit
Send
out
to
of
a higher
heaven.
plane of existence.
Yeah.
Let's hope that year is a long way off.
I mean, he's like what? He's like in his late 70s at this point, isn't he?
Let me check. 72.
Oh, early
Ugh.
70s.
I mean, still, that
Yeah.
early 70s is still 70s, Jack.
Yeah.
True. He doesn't look it, though. He looks a good 10, 15 years younger.
Samuel L. Jackson, I am convinced he actually got his hands on some immortality serum, which, by the way, he is actually canonically immortal.
In the comics, yes.
In the comics, yeah, he like got his hands on some sort of magical immortality serum.
I mean, what the fuck doesn't happen in the comics?
Anyways,
Uncle Ben getting brought
could-
back to life, or Peter Parker being happy. Those don't happen in the comics.
Poor
I
Peter.
still fucking hate the dude who is responsible.
Like I hate him. Like, just there's so many reasons to hate that guy, but that is definitely one of the top ones.
Yeah. Anyways, I think that does it for today. We are going to talk about more MCU later on down the line. But
when is
next
that
up on the schedule?
scheduled?
Don't know. Probably in like that is scheduled for
In the
April.
future.
So,
10th of
around
April. 10th of
April-ish.
April. 10th of April is where it's currently scheduled.
Subject
Look at us.
change, but
Look at us. Just a few months ago, we were just like winging it, and now we have like a schedule and like production values.
Not that it helped us in following it for Stormlight, but yeah.
oh yeah.
To be fair, that's kind of just like life happens.
Yeah. Anyways, please tune in next week when we talk about the Dresden Files. That's gonna be a fun one.
I'm sorry, next week is Dresden?
Yes.
Next week is Dresden.
Oh my god.
Next week is Dresden Books 1 to 3, which
Ah.
obviously is the.
Wait,
it's
what?
gonna be it's books 1 to 3, so it's gonna be the probably.
Oh.
It's the worst part of the
Oh.
series for us to cover, but we have to cover it.
We do have to cover it. Hey, at least the earliest books are the weakest books. I'd hate for
You know
that
what? That's
shit to-
always a good mark of a series. If
Yeah.
a series just constantly gets better as it goes along, you can forgive the early books for being absolute garbage.
Yeah.
They're not
I'm-
absolute garbage. They're just mostly garbage.
I mean, book 3 isn't bad. It's just depressing.
True.
But
Anyways,
we will get onto that next week.
Yeah.
Yes,
so please tune
thank
in
you
next
for
week.
joining us, and thank you for joining us as well, Mill
You're welcome.
and Jack.
You're welcome.
And we will see you next time, whether on a stream or on
Well,
a Paradox.
We'll see you tomorrow for some more D&D.
Oh yeah.
You'll be seeing these guys first. Hey, how long do you guys generally run your D&D?
Like 4 hours.
3-4
on average.
hours, yeah.
Want to play some Yu-Gi-Oh after D&D tomorrow?
I do not have the time because I have work afterwards.
I will see how I feel. I may be
All right,
exhausted.
Anyways,
So
I
yes, thank
believe-
you everyone. Please give us a follow if you liked it, and if you watched it, and if you're watching the VOD of this, which a surprisingly high number of people do, we would appreciate it if you gave us a follow